Hey, what's going on there? Pouring my coffee. It's almost time. I think we'll call good there. All right. 3, 2, 1. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Today is Monday. It's September 28th, 2020. My name is Jeremy, and this strong. Well, I don't know about you, but I had a great weekend. Went for Friday, I didn't quite get a whole day off. Got a half day. I think it was about noon, 1 o'clock. I said, I'm done. And I hung out, and I relaxed, and did some projects around the house, which I enjoy. And then Saturday went for a hike. Good photos of the leaves, the foliage, but it was so hazy, the colors were not coming through, it didn't look good. I didn't even couple photos with my phone, but they weren't what I was hoping for. The hike was great though. And then yesterday worked the entire day around the house, just projects. And if you see paint on my hands and my arm, that's and there's not a lot of skin left under those spots. So I'm going to be wearing long sleeve shirts today on my calls, and probably wash my hands about 46 more times. See what happens. What did I do? Stacked wood, made pear butter. I've got hazelnuts out to dry. What else did I do? Tied the grapevines up because they had drooped in front of rearranged a bunch of stuff outside, just moving stuff from A to B. My neighbor was going into the woods to pull stuff to burn in his fire pit, and so I brought him over a wheelbarrow load because I had too much wood that I had chopped down at some point. So I said, I'll give him some of that. Made him happy. And yeah, and now it's Monday. And now it's time to switch gears, switch focus into what the rest of the world is looking for. The rest of the world doesn't care if I stack wood and make pear butter. The rest of the world cares about marketing and martial arts. So that's why we're doing this. So, to my Jewish friends, you know what that means. To the rest of you, what else is today? I have a single appointment on my calendar. I have one stuff, a lot of tasks, email, things like that. I had work I was hoping to get done yesterday at my desk, and I just worked on projects all day. So I didn't. Coffee is particularly hot today. Not sure why. It's raining for the first time in days. We're supposed to have like 3 or 4 days of rain, which, other than the foliage, will be nice. It's going to knock all the leaves off the trees, which is going to be a bummer. I was hoping economically that Vermont would get in the car kind of a thing, just to come see the leaves. Maybe they'd buy some gas. But no, I don't think it's going to be a good year for foliage without all that. Yeah, I just have work to do. So let's get into it. Let's see what work you all gave to me. What questions or quotes or comments or stories or whatever am I going to find when I check the notifications on YouTube? Remember, if you have something you want me to talk about, that's how you do it. You put it on YouTube. You put it in the comment section when the episode closes. Oh, look at that blue light shining on my face. Spooky. And I will respond the next day. I'm just laughing at my own faces. All right, shout out to Frank, making sure I've got plenty to talk about, and all the other work that he does behind the scenes. We continue our look at Zen and the martial arts. King Hsuan of Chou heard of Po Kung Ai, who was reputed to be the strongest man in his kingdom. The king was dismayed when they met, since Po looked so weak. When the king asked, I can break the leg of a spring grasshopper and withstand the winds of an autumn cicada. Aghast, the king thundered, I can tear rhinocerous leather and drag 9 buffaloes by the tail, yet I am shamed by my weakness. How can you be famous? Po smiled and answered quietly, my teacher was Tzu, whose strength was without peer in the world, but even his relatives never knew it because he never used it. Anonymous. I think there's definitely something to be said for having the humility or the self-confidence to not... Oh. Here. Looks like a connection just dropped out. Hopefully it wasn't for long. We know what boasting looks like day to day. We know what it looks like when someone says, I make this much money, I drive this car, yada yada. But what about martial arts? When so much of our culture could be construed in that way. Titles. Titles can be respectful or boastful. Belts. Pretty much anything that we do. And it depends on the intent. I choose to wear a plain black belt because that's all I want. Do I think people who wear stripes on their belt are necessarily boastful? No. Are many of them? Yes. Have many of them not even realize that they're doing it? And in fact, I'd say they're pretty innocent, that it's just a cultural aspect of what they do. Kind of like military rank, which can be, but doesn't have to be boastful. Yes. It's a paradox, it's a paradox within the martial arts, the two sides of this. And even within training, we challenge and push each other to get better. And yet sometimes we're doing it for the wrong reasons. We're doing it out of ego. Some of it's human nature. We're not going to get rid of it. But I think being aware of it's important. Realizing why we do what we do, why others do what they do, I think is critical. It's something that we need to pay attention to. All right, looks like I'm getting you on my lap. Come on. Cat. Come on. You got to settle in. I'm doing a show. We don't have time for this. Silly cat. If you're listening rather than watching, the cat is not even remotely intent on settling. She's just gonna... Oh, actually she just did. Okay, good. Pleasantly surprised. There are a lot of paradoxes in martial arts. And some of them need to be there. Some of them don't. And I think Excuse me. I think the greatest value comes in exploring them, learning more about why they exist the way they exist in that way, and how you relate to them. There's no one answer. There's no one way. Life unfolds on a great sheet called time, and once finished, it is gone forever. Chinese adage. So I once heard someone, maybe I read, speculate that if people knew when they would die, even if they were going to live to 100, they would value their time more if we knew what the end point was. But because we don't, it has this arbitrary state, and quite often we act like it's like we'll live forever. Obviously we won't. I have a very simple test for how I spend my time. If I have a decision to make between A or B, I imagine myself old and on my deathbed, thinking of my life, and asking myself, which of those two things would I rather have done? And it's the things that create the memories. It's the things that give me joy. Was crawling on the floor of the garage painting the underside of the oil tanks something that I really looked forward to doing? No. But at the same time, in hindsight, it's part of taking pride in my home and the things that I have. And so in that respect, I'm glad I did it. And am I glad I took the day off and went hiking on Saturday, even though it hurt my knees and they're still achy? Yeah. Because I enjoyed the company of the friend that was with me. I saw a bunch of dogs. It was a beautiful day. I was outside. Good snacks. I mean, what else do you want? Every single day we go to bed, we are statistically more likely to not wake up the next morning. Keep that in mind. It doesn't mean that you max out your credit cards and go on vacation. I mean, you probably couldn't really go anywhere super special right now, but what if you could? Is that the way to spend your time and money? Probably not. Unless you've been saving for that vacation for 10 years and denying yourself for some reason, for some admittedly silly reason. You have to have balance in your life. We have to balance our time training with our time recovering. We have to balance our time alone with our time with friends and family, our time eating with sleeping. It's no one thing, it's the contrast that becomes really important and valuable. And I struggle with this. I do. I work too much. I do. I'm better than I used to be. One of the things I've been very aware of over the last few years is how much of an excuse I use this furball as. I'm not really comfortable going away for a few weeks because of the cat. I feel guilty asking someone to take care of the cat for weeks. Or, you know, anything like that. Any long-term departure from my home. what about when she goes? Will I suddenly be more willing? I don't know. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. It's about balance. Finding that balance in your life somewhere. And our last quote for the day: the mind should be nowhere in particular. Takuan. The mind should be nowhere in particular. Could be a comment on meditation. But I think where it's taking me is this notion that our thought, our awareness has to be varied. Sometimes we're thinking about certain things. Sometimes we're paying attention to certain things. Sometimes we're thinking about nothing. Excuse me. Sometimes we're paying attention to nothing. We have to be flexible. We have to be open and aware. And that's important. Have you ever sat and just let your mind go blank? Just not think about anything. Just try to sit, not try, just sit and for me, it's meditative, but I don't necessarily close my eyes. You know, I can look across the room and contemplate the texture on the door, the wooden door. And I'm not thinking about the door. I'm not asking myself questions about it. I'm not analyzing. I'm just losing myself in it. I find that easier than closing my eyes and not thinking about anything. If you've never read Zen and the Martial Arts, a lot of these thoughts, these quotes, etc., are odd and on their own could be the subject of a lot of debate and discussion. And this is one of them. This idea that, well, depends on how you interpret it. The mind should be nowhere in particular. Well, it's an interesting one to end on because I don't have any poignant thoughts because it defeats the purpose. But I'm going to go. I'm going to go prepare for my day, get a lot of work done. And I hope you have a great day. I hope you get a lot of work done. I hope you train and eat well and enjoy whatever it is you're doing. I'm going to. I hope to see you back here tomorrow, bright and early, 6:30 a.m. Eastern, U.S. time. I hope you'll drop a question or a comment because it's better when there's variety. Frank does a great job, but as we all know, I like mixing it up. If you want to get yourself one of those mugs or support us in another way, go to whistlekick.com, use the code FIRSTCUP15. If you like the content we do, consider supporting the Patreon, and you'll get even more. All right. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you back here tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Peace.